All right, strugglers, here's a little inside baseball for you. The way that I usually go about making videos is that I have this massive list of ideas at any given time. Some of them are good. Most of them are terrible. A show called Baywatch, where your family gets way too involved in your sex life.
Are you quite kinky? In what way are you kinky?
Oh yeah, kill me, man.
Content goldmine. The early 2000s Christian pop group Jump 5. Also a great idea. A deep dive into all of Disney Channel's old sweepstakes.
Pass it on to Miley and Jason sweepstakes.
Okay, all of my ideas are bulletproof, actually. Well, this week I took a look at my list of topics and I was going to talk about Jerry Springer's old game show, Baggage.
I dumped an ex by stranding him in a foreign country.
That's pretty harsh.
It's a roller coaster. I do make it a point to search and see if somebody else has already made a video about a topic before I start working on it because it keeps me more engaged with it. I get bored watching my own video if I feel like I've seen it already. I guess I'm just quirky like that. So I searched for videos about baggage, hoping that I wouldn't see any. 8 months ago, YSA. 6 months ago, Plushy Smoosh. 4 months ago, Gab Foresta. 3 weeks ago, T Ford. 4 days ago, Nick is not green. You effers. We're beefing. You beat me to it, and now all of us have fresh, never frozen Wendy's style beef.
Where's the beef?
It's right here. The beef is right here. So now every fiber in my being is telling me, Scott, you just watched 5 different commentary videos about this show, Baggage. They all covered a little bit different things, so everything has been said. There's nothing left for you to say about it. You talentless hack. And yeah, the voice in my head is pretty rude to me, actually. But as I was watching those videos, I noticed that the people that were watching the content were under the impression that the show is 100% real.
I feel like I got a lot in common with them, so I dig that.
Do you have an outfit that you wear?
Well, sometimes, I like to go ahead and get my...
And I'm not so sure that it is. I've got no qualms with a YouTuber watching something and then just reacting to it as if it's real. I do that all the time. That's half the fun of doing comedy commentary. The suspension of disbelief lends itself to some fun moments. Playing dumb is part of the gig, baby. If we were all gonna be cynical about everything, we'd just have a talk show on HBO. But it still got me thinking, are any of these shows actually real? And if so, how real? Game shows, reality shows, freaking cooking shows. Is it all just a load of malarkey? May as well start our journey with the aforementioned Baggage. And like I said, Nick already made a video about it, so let's just let him quickly explain what the show is about.
I don't know what this show's about. I love the title. We're just gonna watch it.
I gotta do everything around here? This is why we're beefing, Nick. You brought it on yourself. Okay, so Baggage is a kind of dating show where contestants come on and they're like revealing things about themselves that would kind of be like a red flag or baggage, right? As the rounds go on, the baggage gets weirder and weirder, and then the person who's choosing who they want to go on a date with has to, pick who they're actually okay with, regardless of what the weird things that they've said are.
Jerry, if I'm hungry and I see some grapes or some fruit, God made those grapes.
So is it real? It's kind of a wacky concept, right? You got to get people to agree to say this weird stuff about themselves on TV. Not exactly flattering for the people on the show. Well, I found a Reddit thread of this guy who said that he used to work for the show, and he said that the people that come on the show are normal people, but obviously they're also trying to get on TV. And not just TV, a Jerry Springer show. This sort of thing attracts a certain type of personality, to say the least.
I love when people give me the attention, and wouldn't you take pictures of me all day if I were with you?
So the former employee talked about one of the potential contestants when they were casting, and he said, there was one girl that stood out to me. She kept coming on to the producer and telling him she'd do anything to be on the show. Then sent us an email with her naked pictures confirming she would do anything. Oh, you don't say? Well, did she get on the show? Don't tease me with this info, guy. Should I or should I not be sending Howie Mandel Schmeat pics? He only said that like 5 couples out of the 300 episodes actually went on a date afterwards. So that kind of speaks to the intentions of the people coming on the show. And then there was an article by another person that had backstage access to the show. Most of the show is scripted. On the sidelines behind the cameras stands either an assistant to the script supervisor or a producer who's coaxing contestants on what to say and how to say it. On Saturday, 2 difficult contestants were sent packing after the first round. Coincidence or show producers at work. So you're telling me that these people aren't speaking organically and they're reciting lines that were fed to them by a producer?
While I may only have a grade 7th education as far as schooling goes, I've got a lot more education in some other areas, Sean.
Sacre bleu! I would say that the show is a mixed bag, pun absolutely intended. People are coming onto the show knowing darn well they're gonna have to play up the theatrics just to get picked to be on TV in the first place.
My brother caught me pleasuring myself to Judge Judy. She's a dominant, strong, powerful, assertive woman.
The baggage that the contestants are saying on the show is stuff that they have themselves admitted to during the casting process. It's not stuff that they were told to say, it's what they brought to the producers. They're claiming that these things they're saying about themselves are true, and there's really not a way for the show to verify if it is or not. And I don't think they would even try to if they could. Nobody cares if this lady actually collects men's used underwear. That's not the point. The point is that she'll say she does on TV. With pretty much everything in life, here's a little lesson for you. If it feels too good to be true, it's probably not true. I think it's safe to say that baggage fits into that category. Mark it down as sensationalized fibbing at best. Or at worst, a murderous cult. But it's probably not that. Now let's talk about one of the craziest game shows ever made. The Moment of Truth.
This is the moment of truth.
Tonight, the controversial episode you weren't supposed to see.
Is it real? Is it fake? Is it somewhere in the middle, he said, alluding to the fact that everything falls somewhere in that category and nothing is truly black and white. So by now, a lot of you may have seen the infamous Lauren and Frank episode of the show, but in case you haven't, I'll give you a quick kind of synopsis of what the show is. Off camera, the contestants are given a polygraph or a lie detector test, and they're asked a bunch of questions. Some of them are pretty tame, and some are frickin' gnarly.
If I wanted to get back together with you, would you leave your husband?
If the polygraph determines that what you're saying is true, then you keep winning money and moving on. But if they determine that you're lying, you lose everything, including your dignity. So say, for example, before the show, they hook you up to a polygraph and they ask you if you unironically enjoy the Barbie and the Nutcracker movie. And of course you say, no, that movie is for little girls. Polygraph does its thing, it takes its measurements. Okay, now you're sitting in the hot seat on the show and the cameras are rolling and they ask you once again, do you unironically like the Barbie and the Nutcracker movie? And you say, no, I'm a boy. I'm not a little girl. You guys are being so stupid. Stop.
That answer is false.
Oh, that is bullshit. So now that we know the premise, is this show real? Kinda, not really though. To start, let's get this out of the way immediately. A lie detector test is by no means a foolproof way of detecting lies. Really, all it's trying to do is measure how uncomfortable you are at any given question, so it can measure more so your nervousness and not exactly if you're lying or not. Being nervous at a certain question could maybe sometimes kind of indicate that you might be lying, maybe? But it's not a solid foundation to base an entire game show off of, with hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, is what I'm trying to say. The other part that's kind of sus is that the editing on the show is pretty misleading. One of the most heart-wrenching parts of the episode is when Lauren admits to cheating on Frank. Here's that moment for reference.
Question 16. Since you've been married, have you ever had sexual relations with someone other than your husband?
I'm gonna have to say yes.
That answer is true.
Look at him, devastated, burying his head in his hands. Or is he? Let's dive a little deeper. Right here we see Frank immediately after learning that his wife has cheated on him. We see the glow of the red lights on his back, and Lauren's father has his arm placed on the back of the sofa, or so they want you to think. The very next shot that they cut to shows Lauren's father sitting with both of his hands on his lap. So we can already tell that there's some trickery going on here. A sprinkle of legerdemain. Well, the full truth comes out at the end of the episode when Lauren fails to answer a question correctly and loses all of the money she's accumulated. Did you spot it? This is the same shot as before. They even zoom out and show the full scene, and it's clear that this shot, used to emphasize Frank's dismay at learning his marriage is broken, was all a ruse. A subterfuge. The head in the hands, the arm on the sofa, the red lights bearing down. This was a deceitful edit, cut out of order, used to toy with the emotions of viewers at home, Your Honor. No further questions. I don't know why I'm in court all of a sudden. It's really easy to jump around a video clip and put things out of order. I do it all the time. I'm doing it right now. Look at this timeline. Look at all the stuff that came chronologically before what I'm saying right now. What did I say here? Why did I put this before that? Because it fits the narrative better. It's such a subtle thing that the show did in order to enhance the storytelling of the episode, but it takes away from the legitimacy of everything. Clearly, Frank's genuine reaction to learning about his wife cheating on him wasn't all that dramatic. Otherwise, they would have just used that clip instead. It really seems like he's more disappointed in her losing all of that money than he is about finding out she's been getting slippery with another dude. Could it be that Frank already knew about the cheating and the couple had aired out their dirty laundry in private prior to coming on the show? Maybe they agreed to come on TV and potentially embarrass themselves for the chance to win a huge sum of money. That's what Access Hollywood seems to think. Even the host, Mark, was really weirded out by their reactions to everything. Speaking of the host, Mark Wahlberg, Cody did an interview with him on his channel, and from that interview you can take away that all of the contestants are real people. They're not like they're bringing in actors to do the show. Real secrets, real awkward situations, so some of it is legit. If you're interested in watching that video, I'll link it in the description. Don't go now. Stay. I need you. The moment of truth. Some of it is real. Some of it is and it's all based on a pretty shaky premise to begin with. I give it maybe like a 6 out of 10 on the famous Scott reality scale thing, which is in no way subjective whatsoever. And there are a lot of shows that fall into that category. Cash Cab, for example. It's a trivia game show that takes place in a New York City taxi cab. They pick up random strangers off the street and all of a sudden, they're on a game show.
Are in the cash cab? No! Yes, you are!
But that's not actually the case. You might run into trouble if you go to extremes, baby, because everything is not what it seems. A lot of the contestants on Cash Cab aren't just randos off the street. They're people that have been screened by producers to be on a different show. And the taxi is just there to pick them up and drive them to that filming location. And then, bam! Cash Cab!
You guys are in the cash cab!
What? What is that?
So does that make the show fake? No. They're still real people on a real trivia show. They're just not always as random as they seem on TV. Bear Grylls does a lot of real nasty stuff on Man vs. Wild.
You can recycle pee to help you survive. Try and capture as much of that fluid as you can.
But there's a decent chunk that's just fictionalized for the cameras. So is that show fake? I wouldn't say that. They make it pretty clear up front that the show is more about demonstrating survival techniques. It's not just like some sick challenge for Bear Grylls to, overcome the elements and actually survive in these environments.
I'm gonna show you what it takes to get out alive to some of the most dangerous places on Earth.
It's edutainment. Maybe I'll put a cool, animated graphic there. Or not. Storage Wars, a show where people bid on abandoned storage units and then sell some of the hidden treasures that they find at their pawn shops. But it's come out that the producers actually plant a lot of the cool stuff that they find in those storage units.
50 prints with signatures? We could be talking a fortune.
So is that show fake? Yeah, actually, that one's pretty lame. It's lame that they do that. I would consider that show to be fake, honestly. What about Pawn Stars? Well, everybody that comes on there to sell something is screened before they come into the shop. And the producers are essentially telling everybody what to say all the time.
Hold on 1 second here.
Yes.
Chump.
Yeah?
This guy's got Pokemon cards.
Rick, it's not Pokemon. It's Pokemon.
Wait a second. You're telling me these people aren't being totally natural and candid? I'm shocked. Dumbfounded even. I talked about a show called How Far Is Tattoo Far back in 2020, where couples would give each other crazy, frankly out-of-pocket tattoos.
What is this?
He tattooed a freaking toilet on his girlfriend. And so many people in the comments of my video were like, oh, those tattoos are so fake. It's so obvious how fake those tattoos are. Well, guess what, goofballs? The tattoos are real. Yeah. How do you like them apples? But of course, every talking head segment on the show is scripted into oblivion.
Sydney, I want to see that freak flag fly like it used to back in the day.
So some of the show is real, some of it is fake. It's like, this whole area is super gray. And then there's all the nonsense surrounding competition shows, especially the singing ones like American Idol or The Voice. Rumi made a whole video talking about how planned and manipulative those are. You can go watch that if you're interested after this one. Stop trying to leave this video, you coward. I think one of the most interesting examples of a competition show being not fully legit is this guy Reckless Ben. He literally lied his way onto the Go Big show, which is like a lamer version of America's Got Talent. He took hidden camera footage of the whole thing and they kept pushing him through to the next round every episode, even though his act wasn't as cool as some of the other contestants. Mainly because they just knew he was a wild card and he'd be more interesting for TV. That's a little dishonest for a talent show, unless the talent that you're looking for is literally like, who's gonna bring us the most ratings? And you know what's nuts about dating shows? Pretty much all of them are real. Except there's nothing real about them. Let me explain. The people are going on real dates and they really live in these houses together and they're really drinking literally all day, every day, which is insane. But every single person that steps out of that limo has one goal, and that's to get 1 million Instagram followers and get invited back to be on a different show so they can make out with hot singles. I have a hard time trusting people, and I don't open up to anybody, but I trusted you. And I opened up to you, and you threw that all away, and you broke my heart. Why? What? Why did you trust them? You've known them for 9 days? You haven't opened up to another person in 25 years, and you thought this stranger was the one that ought to break the streak for you? I don't buy it. But that doesn't make it not fun to watch. Some people are so quick to label things as fake. Oh, this reality show edited something out of context. This show is fake. This reaction was reshot a few different times to get it right. Oh, this show is freaking fake. I understand the sentiment, I do. I was heartbroken when I learned that Shazam isn't actually listening to the songs and the contestants are just racing against a countdown clock. It's called Beat Shazam, gosh darn it. I want to see people going one-on-one with a smartphone app. But a lot of the time I think these shows would just be more boring if everything was totally legit. Like, would it really be better if the chefs on Chopped had to sit and wait for the water to boil? I don't think so. I think it'd make the show a little bit lamer. Maybe you don't agree. We don't have to agree. This isn't a lecture. I'm just ranting about TV. Cold is the absence of heat. Darkness is the absence of light. And fake is just the absence of truth. Are all reality shows fully legit? No. But are they all totally scripted bullcrap? No. They tend to live somewhere in the middle. And that's the balance of life, baby. Maybe the question shouldn't be about whether or not something is real. Maybe the question should be, why does it matter? What even is this video? In conclusion, everything I've said today and every day was planned in advance and read word for word off of a script. Art is a lie, nothing is real. Watch Below Deck and Survivor. Subscribe to Pretty Much It. Take a break from social media. And have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my patrons. That's all I got for you. I will talk to you again next week. Goodbye.
You know you look so good when you're wearing denim. Sometimes I get so sick of you being insecure. You know I'm there in those low moments, and that's for sure.